If I were a seasoned cricket broadcaster, I'd be making some sort of exaggerated simile using the word pant about Rishba's fantastic century. But this is the Murali Daily. I'm making this podcast in the spare room in my mum's house, so I'll spare you that. Players just finished from the second day of the fourth test between India and England. India stand at 294 for 7. I'm Mark Machado. This show is sponsored by Sam's Chicken and Lion Beer. Use the hashtag Uncle Johns to get involved and follow us on social media at Murali End, where you can also enter a competition to win a 100 shirt. I'm joined by Stretford Stingers skipper Tommy Stewart and Mundial Magazine's Owen Blackhurst. Tommy, I'll start with you. Did England drop the ball today in that final session?
Well, they more than dropped a ball, mate. They dropped a fucking bollock, to be honest. A fair few of them. It's just, it goes back to, I mean, we spoke yesterday. We kind of had a positive outlook, and that was looking good at some point before Pant just, took the game away from us with his incredible, just insane batting, to be honest. And the fact he's only 23 is scary. But yeah, back to England. I try and be positive as I can, but it's really hard to today. And it all goes back to the team selection for me. When you're looking at Ben Stokes, I think it said Jim Stokes, Ben Stokes and Jimmy Anderson, the only two seamers out there, and they look absolutely exhausted. Like Ben Stokes, obviously we saw him kicking the ball away in frustration when he dropped it in his run-up. When Jimmy was getting spanked about by Pant and that reverse sweep thing, it wasn't even whatever that shot was, which was incredible. They just looked disheartened. I was comparing that in our WhatsApp chat to McGrath versus KP in 05, which we were tweeting about yesterday. But Jimmy didn't really have that sort of look of acknowledgement, like fair play, that McGrath had. He just looked absolutely pissed off. And I don't blame him. Could really do a Stuart Broad or Chris Wokes out there. It just, these reactionary selections, I hate reactionary selections. We should have a plan going forward for each individual test. And given my clash with my sometime paymasters and former employers, the BBC Sport this week, I have to be a bit careful of what I say with my position in my job and stuff with tailenders. But I don't want to go too hard on Don Bess. And Lizzie, who is part of the Murali, will defend him. And she tweeted saying, I'm a big fan of his. For me, he's not a test cricket player. I know Graham Swan developed late, but he doesn't have the guile and skill of Graham Swan. It doesn't look like. I know that can develop over time.
Well, Tom, just to jump in on that there, Graham Swan only developed late. He should have been in the squad when he was 21, but he was an arsehole and someone knocked him out in South Africa. So he was always good enough. That's
what I told my dad. My dad tried to make the argument saying, well, look at Graham Swan. And I said exactly what you said, basically, just then. So, yeah, that's my take. I just don't... I think Don Bess seems like a proper good lad, and he gives his shit and he tries his hardest. He's not good enough. And Strauss and Ebony Rainford Brent they didn't pull any punches, did they? Just now, like on the Channel 4 analysis, they went in pretty hard on him, and rightly so, if you ask me.
I was just going to throw in Matt Tuff's question from Twitter, because we did ask some questions. And he asked, is Don Bess learning enough on this tour to warrant sticking with him? Or does he need a break from Test cricket for the summer to play county matches?
I think for me on that, if we're going to give the batsman mitigating circumstances yesterday, we probably need to do the same for Bess. And I think whether or not he's a Test cricketer, I think the one thing that happened today is there was a perceptible change in body language, and it wasn't just because of Pant's ridiculous counter-attack, or not even counter-attack, just attack, wasn't it? It was an assault. But you could see Stokes, and there was a couple of full bungers went through from Bess, and Stokes, you could see, he didn't want to droop his body language because he's trying to be positive, he's vice-captain, but it happened for a third time. You sort of just saw him go a little bit. And we've all played cricket. When someone's having a bit of a mare with the ball, it can suck the oxygen out of a team very quickly. And if then they start going after Jimmy and people like that, so is he learning enough? I think it's, well, probably not, but you heard Swan on commentary saying, I've seen him in the nets and this doesn't happen. So it's a pressure thing. And I think when it's down to pressure, you've probably got to feel sorry for someone a little bit, because it's obviously a mental thing. And that's tough. And think of the soul searching he's going to have to do now, because he knows what people are saying. You know, he's not daft, is he? And he's talked before about his mental health. Will he get any time in the summer? I'm not sure he will. I think Leach will be the number one spinner throughout the summer. And if they play two, which I don't think they will, I think you'll see Mo come back in, because if we look back, Mo actually looked pretty tasty, didn't he?
He did.
You know, he started looking a bit more tasty. So I think Best probably needs protecting. Does that answer Matt's question? Has he learned enough? No. Is he worth persevering with? He's probably worth keeping an eye on and looking after and monitoring and seeing how he does in the county game for a little bit.
It does strike me that maybe going back to county cricket isn't a bad idea for him, because he'll need to rebuild his confidence, because I think there's been a lot of soul searching taking place right now in that England camp, I'd imagine. Bess has had his kind of winter probably reflects the winter that a lot of the players are having, because I mean he started out looking amazing in Sri Lanka, but then they all look great in Sri Lanka. But now all the kind of problems that actually were there, but we didn't really notice in those two tests in Gaul, are now look so stark. There's such a massive gap between the body language and the psychology and the kind of the mentality that you can get from the England side and the India side, or even compare that England side now to what it was that arrived in India, about 6 weeks ago.
I think the collective goose is finally cooked, to be honest, and they're, there's a lot of those players ready to go home, and a lot who will be looking forward to the freedom that comes with a few white ball games.
Yeah.
I'd like to just refer as well to, I'd recommend anyone watch the Sky Sports chat with Rob Key, Nasser and Monty Panesar, and
yes,
everyone was very honest on that. Like Nasser, Rob Key said, Nasser, you've probably seen pretty much every England ball that Monty bowled for England. But at the same time, like Monty made a good point, like what's Bess's stop ball? At least Jack Leach has a good stop ball. He has a good go-to. We still don't know what Bess's is. And that comes of age. That's one thing. But they also raised the point that we've not had any great spinners or even really half-decent spinners since Monty and Swan. But I disagree with that. Adil Rashid, and I know he doesn't want to be back in the Test team, but if I was the England setup, the selectors, I would be doing... And, he didn't get selected for the IPL, did he?
No, and he was managed terribly at the beginning of his career, Adil, as well. That's the problem.
I would do everything. I would just... get down on our knees and beg him to come back, because he's a genuine world-class spinner in any format, if you ask me. And much like Owen Morgan, I don't think he had much of a bite of the cherry with, and we spoke about yesterday, I spoke about Aaron Finch in Test cricket. These players get disposed of too quickly. And I might be, maybe that's contradicting myself with my point with Bess. I just don't think personally Bess is good enough. Adil Rashid, however, might be a bit from left field, but I'd love to see him back in the Test shirt for England.
Well, imagine for me, imagine having a leggy as well, though. Do you know what I mean? England don't have leg spinners, and they treat them pretty badly as well. Sorry, Mark, I jumped right in it because this has bothered me since I was about 10.
Yeah,
we all love leg spin. It's the hardest art in a very difficult game, and I'd love to have Rashid, but we expect whenever we get a leggy in the team, we expect him to start producing mad mystery deliveries and ragging it square. And as soon as they don't, they're out. It's a very English thing to stick with a more pedestrian style of spin. Sorry, Mark.
No, I was going to say, I wonder if, kind of in defense of the ECB here, part of the problem is that you don't really ever expect to play more than one spinner in England, I'd imagine, in a Test series going into it. And then if you're you probably aren't looking to play more than two spinners outside the subcontinent, really, ever. I mean, going into an Ashes, you could if they bat. You could if they'd bat as well, though, couldn't you? I think Lizzie made the point before is that they play the county championship in times when it's not conducive to the ball spinning. So as long as that carries on, then we may as well. We can fucking piss and moan about it all we want. We ain't going to get any spin bowlers.
When it's cold as well, Lizzie said, which is a really good point. Especially last season, they were playing into fucking October, weren't they?
God, have you ever played cricket in October,
mate? My last man stands. My last man stands team. We were playing in pitch black pretty much. We were playing early October. It was absolutely horrendous.
It's horrible, isn't it?
No, yeah.
I played in the drizzle beginning of October a few years ago. It was definitely one game too many. The pitch was churning up. It's fucking awful. But imagine trying to be a professional and get better and force your way into international reckoning, playing in April and October.
Yeah, what Matt said, I'll go back to the question. What he said about, I think it's a really good move for him, especially with Leach being at Somerset. Although, if Leach is playing in England, he would have got more games. But I think the move to Yorkshire is really good for Bess. And I hope he improves, because he's really likable character, good little batsman as well.
Good fielder, very good fielder.
Very good fielder. So, hopefully he's still young. I just don't think he's got that little bit of edge for Test cricket.
I just think he needs to bowl more balls. He just needs to, every day in summer, he needs to be bowling as many overs against batsmen as he possibly can.
I don't think that's the problem. I think Swan's got it right. I think as soon as it becomes a pressure situation, that's when he starts doing it.
Yeah.
Do you not think the pressure will come off though? I know. I mean, you can't compare. I think playing at Oxbridge or whatever, but to playing Test cricket,
that's never going to change, is it?
Yeah.
Because whenever he steps up, if that is the problem, it's always going to be there now, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? We've all faced things that manifest themselves, and if you feel like you've got the microscope, I don't know. I'd like to think he could, but if that is the problem, it's hard to see how you come back from that, because it's become a consistent thing now as well.
I just wonder if he has a long season of county cricket, bowling lots of overs, if he develops that stock ball, because obviously county cricket isn't international cricket, but you're still playing against pretty decent players.
Yeah. And but I can just tell by the way Monty talks about him, and I think he said the same on the Grade Cricketer like last summer. And Monty's, I'm not saying he's the be all and end all, but he's a very fucking good spin bowler, very good spin bowler. And obviously we won't go into his historically much maligned fielding and batting. But I trust what Monty says on spin, and I just don't think he rates him. And I think Leach, I've said it for a couple of years, I think Leach had a good summer, not just the one at Headingley, which we kind of joke about. And, Jack Leach, I met him on the Tailenders tour, and he joked about it himself, and he loves all that. But genuine, hard-working, good cricketer. He might not be as good an all-rounder as Bess, but as a spin bowler, the art of spin, he's a better bowler for me. And I think Jordan said, fellow Murali panelist, and he's a Somerset fan, so he does actually watch them both closely. He mentioned Leach's age, but 29's not old for a spin bowler. He's got years ahead of him. I
reckon he could. I think it'd be worth a tenner that he goes and gets past Swan for Test wickets, because he must be up to close to 60 now, Jack Leach, I think. And you'd imagine he's got a lot of tests. He'll probably play. I think he would be first choice spinner for quite some time now, and I think he should.
I hope so.
And when they play two, they've got to work out what goes on with Moeen, but they won't discount him either. But I think you're right. I think Leach is the premier spinner, and I think next few years could be very interesting. Imagine if he went on and got 250 Test wickets, how brilliant that would be after everything he's gone through to get there.
His illnesses and everything. And I just want, before we move on to the next topic, I did mention it briefly initially. Chris Wokes, we don't trust him abroad for some reason. And I mean, I feel like today could have really suited him. And obviously he's got Jimmy Anderson there. And when Jimmy retires in 2029 or whatever, Chris Wokes will probably be first choice to replace him. But he's a genuine all-rounder, as we saw batting last summer as well. And we wouldn't have needed to select that extra batsman. We could have had an extra seamer. It's easy in hindsight. I know he's gone home and stuff. But has he played once on this tour? I don't think he has.
Not at all. And to be
honest, very good player.
I think you're right, because you'd have Root in as the second spinner, wouldn't you? And if you went into that game with Wokes, you'd feel a little bit more confident about the batting lineup. There was a time when he was averaging 60 abroad, I think. I had a look when you messaged me before. Yeah. But then he got over that in South Africa last winter. He did a lot of work with Darren Gough on different lengths to bowl abroad.
Exactly.
And I think he took his wickets at under 30 in South Africa. So to not get any chance, I know it's unfortunate to begin with sharing a cab with Mo, but to not get one test, it seems a bit daft. And he can't always be compared to Jimmy, because we've talked about it before. He's got a better average than him at home, but he's a different cricketer. He's unfortunate that you've got Stokes as the all-rounder and Jimmy as the swing bowler.
Both generational talents. Two of our greatest ever.
Yeah. So he just fits in. But I worry it'll be too late for him. I think Jimmy will go on for another couple of years, and then Wokes might never get his chance when he's at his best.
I wonder if it's part of a bigger discussion about how this winter has panned out for England, actually, that we should maybe do later on. Let's talk very quickly about the kind of man of the day, I suppose, Rishabh Pant. Unbelievable knock, I thought. That when he came in, it looked like, do you know what, England might actually be in this. And he just comes in and takes the game away swings the momentum away from England for the moment, at least.
A series clinching knock.
Yeah, the thing I love about cricket is that as soon as you mention his name, I'm smiling. Like if it was football and we just lost to the Netherlands or Germany in the Euros, I'd be seething still. And it's not that I care about it more. Just football's a bit more tribal and silly, but cricket's so enjoyable. And when someone plays like that, I feel like in football, it takes you a week or at least a few days to, like when Messi dominated United in the 2009 Champions League final. It's like, he's a prick. It was fluky, blah, blah, blah. There's no excuses with like, it was just joyous. It was so good. Like, that shot against Jimmy, and when he's in, I think the commentators brought up a stat. Number one, he's only 23, which is fucking insane. And I don't think it's too hyperbolic to go as far as they were saying, Adam Gilchrist, that's the marker for him. He makes a couple of mistakes with his wicket keeping, but he also does some sensational things in his keeping. He's only 23. He's got the world on his feet, the world on his back, the world in his gloves. He is just one of the most exciting players you're likely to see. And again, it's something that Monty mentioned, just bringing these T20 players. I think Adam Collins tweeted saying, it's mad to think he wasn't starting in the first test in Australia. Now look at him. He's a household name. Yeah,
he's had to work hard for it. He got, got a lot of shit in the press. I think, imagine, we're talking about him now. I'm 41, old enough to know better. You're 31. Mark, I can't remember how old you are, but somewhere in between the two.
Yeah. We don't know about the two,
right? Yeah. Somewhere in between the two. We're fucking buzzing and watching that. Imagine if you were like 9 to 16, that impressionable age, and you'd got up to watch that this morning. You'd be straight out, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Dad, mom, nan, granddad, fucking.
I want to go straight out. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Imagine, and it's on
terrestrial. So I'm holding fucking ball.
He could inspire, like, oh God, he's gonna inspire a lot of players in India who are already inspired to play cricket anyway. But imagine there's young English lads going, I want to be a wicket-keeper batsman, and I'm going to want to go and bat like that. It's incredible. I've got goosebumps now talking about
it. Same. Yeah, exactly the same, mate. And
so watch that.
He is what, and it's England selectors and English cricket is so, like we were saying yesterday, again, so categorized and pigeonholed. Jos Buttler was, obviously he's played enough Test cricket, but we all see him as a white ball master, which he is. He's one of the best of all time white ball batsmen. But if he was like let off his leash, leash. Well, it's Jack Leach earlier on in his career. And we had faith in him as like our Adam Gilchrist at the age of 23, like Pant is. He could have hit 15 Test centuries by now.
Yeah, he'd have 5,000 Test.
As talented, if not more. Jos Buttler, there's no one as talented as him.
I think the India cricket has absolutely managed him perfectly. I remember just going into the last World Cup, 50 over World Cup. I was part of a debate on the BBC that we're talking about whether or not he should even be in the squad, and if he's in the squad, does he start? And actually, these are all the things that you need to do in a way, and not starting him against Australia to keep that hunger, to keep that fire burning, to keep him motivated in it. For me, I think he's been the batsman, at least, off the winter. I mean, he comes in and I think on 2 occasions in the Australia series, he practically saves India from losing matches and turns them around. Again today, he, for me, just shifted the momentum of that test totally. Just when he thought England were getting back into it, maybe 205 wasn't a bad score in the first innings. I think he's absolutely superb, and long may it continue.
And he doesn't just drag the game away from you like Pujara. He just you go for make your coffee, you go for a piss. Yeah, go for a cigarette. It's fucking. There was
something very edging about it all, wasn't there? That he did it very slowly for quite some time, and sort of he got to his 50 like you say regulation, and then fucking hell. He just went bananas. And you were like, wow. I couldn't do anything else but just sit there in admiration. And Washington as well, I think he's a very good bat. He might not be the greatest spinner, but he is a very good batsman. And you might see him. I think he's probably going to do big things as well. I think he'll be a name we'll be talking about in 10 years.
You can't dispute how India did it, but I thought, again, that was a bit reactive by them, putting Ashwin up the order and Washington behind him. You know, I don't think that will be the case.
I was just about to say, my one worry for both those players, Washington and Rishba, is that they end up, and I can see why they would do this, is push them further up the order. Because actually, I think you want them to bat exactly where they are now.
I think Pant will be all right because of the gloves. I think the gloves will keep him 6 or 7, just because how tough it is to keep.
Yeah, because I do think putting him at 4 or 5 would just add a little bit more pressure onto his game. Where I think now, as you say, it seems to me like he gets his start. And once he gets his start, then he goes, right, let's go. Let's put the
rock and roll, baby.
Yeah. But they don't need to push him up. They got so many other good fucking players. He can stay at 7. They'll just bring another number 5 into somewhere.
Inevitably, though, there'll be some injury crisis on a tour or something. And, you know, you that temptation will come in. You can see it. It will happen at some point. But
they've got 93 other fucking wicketkeeper batsmen, I'm sure, behind it.
Yeah. Just before we wrap this up,
we should quickly mention just for Twitter, for the clicks, for the likes, Kohli, is he in danger of getting dropped?
His face when he gets out,
it's brilliant,
it's hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very cartoon-like, isn't he?
Cartoon mouse, Kohli mouse. That was one of our first episodes.
He's I mean, this is definitely for the next episode or for the end of tour wash up. But it's interesting to see how his tour pans out, because I don't think he's had a particularly good one thus far.
He's not, but they'll win the series. He'll be absolutely fine. And knowing him, he'll come over to England and get a fucking bucket load in the summer.
Yeah, I want to 19, won't he?
I want to wrap this up very quickly, guys. But the other question we threw in there was, if you could pick any international cricketer to be in the Murali End WhatsApp group, who would it be?
You go first, Owen.
Raheem Cornwall.
Oh, what a shout!
I'm messaging Raheem, and me and him are meeting up when things change, and we're doing yards of ale outside some provincial cricket club somewhere, and then we're going dancing. I wouldn't let him in the group. I'd just keep his number for myself and fuck you all off.
But that's your whole relationship is that you've got a deal that you do a yard of ale outside a cricket club every Tuesday night.
Yeah, we just meet up, yards of ale at a club. Don't really speak in between. Maybe the odd forward the odd message onto each other, things we might like, but no.
Yeah, I'd go for Adam Zampa, but just because he's a rare bloke like me, and we can talk about earrings and chains and coffee and craft ale.
God, I remember when I used to be interested and wear like jewelry and stuff like that.
Zamfran's Stoinis for me. Zamfran's Stoinis.
Well, you, Mark?
I'm going to go for Michael Vaughan. So I'll tell you why, because that WhatsApp group keeps fucking chatting till about 2 a.m. incessantly. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you do, you look at your phone, and there's about 600 messages, and you're like, fuck, what the fuck's happened? I stick Michael Vaughan in, that social grenade, all that chat's done.
What is he? What Larry David, the social assassin?
Just 5 o'clock every day, he calls gin o'clock on, and everyone just fucking leaves.
Let's wrap that up there, lads.
Oh wait, we got another question. The film question, quickly.
Oh, go on.
It is. Wait, who asked it? Sorry, I'll find it quickly. Someone asked us. Did I put it? Yeah, here we go.
Matt Tufts, wasn't it again?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Fair play. Matt Tufts asked non-cricket, and I like this. We do get as many, if not more, non-cricket questions. So I'm glad that's the sort of podcast this is. Not too exclusive, inclusive, whatever. So non-cricket, you can only watch one film as many times as you like for the rest of time. What do you choose?
Back to the Future.
Oh, it's a great show. I'm trying to make Alice watch that, but she's like not asked.
What do you mean she's not asked?
I was like, have you seen it? She's like, yeah, when I was a kid. We'll watch it again.
What? Just better. Once? Jesus. You should watch. You should watch. That's one of those films you should try and watch at least once every 5 years as a minimum.
I reckon I've watched it. I watched it a lot when I was a kid. I reckon I've watched it about 150 times. And once, after an operation in a very delicate place when I was 11, my dad took me to Telford Town Centre Cinema, and I watched 1, 2, and 3 back to back.
That's the cinema that I used to go to as a kid. They didn't have one in Shrewsbury back in the day.
Shithole, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like everything in Telford.
Yeah.
Delete that. I would go for Happy Gilmore.
Oh, good shout.
It's my favourite film.
Do you eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Maybe if we can make some things out of clay and eat some hay. Go sit by the bay. I might just may. What do you say?
I'm going to be quite controversial and say that my favourite Adam Sandler film is The Waterboy, not Happy Gilmore.
It's a good film. It's a really good film.
Though I think the one, oh gosh, this is so difficult. I'll tell you my top 3.
No, come on.
No.
One film.
I'm gonna pick. Do you know what? I'm gonna be fucking basic. I don't care and pick Avengers Endgame. Like there's so many bits in that I just like when I'm feeling a bit shit. I just go watch. You know the bit where the Avengers return.
Yeah. My brother does that. He just puts it on YouTube. Like just puts on a little bit from it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Tony Stark's a bit Michael Vaughan, isn't he? On reflection, he's a bit.
No. Captain America. Captain America is Michael Vaughan.
No, he's more Strice. He's more perfect boy, like Strice. Boy.
Yeah, Spider-Man's done best. Absolutely nailed on.
He looks like him.
It does. Fucking
Captain
always
America
just
with almost
sweaty hands as well.
Like Captain America, I do find slightly problematic because he's so like
nationalistic.
Yeah, he's such a patriot. It's really fucking irritating. In fact, go rewatch Civil War and tell me that Captain America is not the most irritating.
No, I agree. On Civil War, he's a cunt.
Yeah. And even like he's so like Captain America is the Michael Vaughan. I'm sorry, like Tony Stark is a bit of a cunt, but he knows he is. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like Shane Warne, maybe.
Yeah, Shane Warne. All KP.
You know what? Stark could be a bit Coley, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
KP's Loki, but without the intelligence.
Loki is the best Avengers character.
Yeah, you might
Who's
be right.
Thor?
Who's Thor?
Oh God.
Oh, Shane Watson.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
I will go with that.
I was going to say Ashwin is the Hulk, isn't he? Like he can do a little bit of everything. He'd get you 100. Kind of his batting's slightly out of control, like the Hulk strength, but he's also probably the smartest person there.
Yeah,
but a bit low key. No one really knows what he's doing. He's a bit,
Who's Ben Stokes?
He's the fucking the shit but brilliant one who hasn't got any superpowers, but he's really good with a bow and arrow. What's his name? Jeremy Renner. Hawkeye. Yeah. He's him. Go. He's just fucking. He's just brilliant at it anyway, without any genetic doctoring.
That's good.
And Great Steve Smith is, of course, Homelander.
Not even in the same franchise.
Right, I think we'll leave it there, lads. We're still giving away a shirt on 100 shirt on the Murali End on Twitter.
Pin tweet.
Follow us there. It's the pin tweet. And we'll be back for day 3.
Yeah.
Day 3 tomorrow. And we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Cheers.